Hey up me ducks, it's Simon here. Welcome to the Hermit's Cave. Let me just pop open the chat. Is it appearing yet? No. Can anybody see me? Ah, there we are. It takes a while to appear on the iPad, on the old iPad. I'm not sure why. But wow, there's 30 people here already waiting. So it's nice to see everybody. Let's just do a quick hello. So we've got Naomi, Deanne, Maharet, Monica, Tycon, Fluffy Bunny, Darling Jill, the Artistry of Tarot. Nice to see you, Mendy. Monica, Sandra, Nikki. Hello, Nikki. Essence, Kay. Wow. Mandeep. Hello, Mandeep. Nice to see you as well. June. Hello, June. Tarotverse, Kate, L. Hello, me duckers. Tracy, Tamaya, Tai Chi Jameson. Not seen you before. Hello, Devon. Got somebody from Devon. And then we have Jada, Jen, Floor, Abundance, Al Wasson, and I think I've caught up. So everybody else, hello and welcome. A Monday Night Live. What's going on? Well, two things really. Firstly, I won't be doing Throwback Thursday on Thursday this week. I made a massive faux pas. Around Sunday, I go and check the vote and see what's in the lead because it doesn't usually change much past Sunday. So I went to have a look to see, because the two decks to vote on, as you'll remember, are the Chrysalis Tarot and the Ostara Tarot. And I hadn't put it up. So there's 4 days worth of voting missing. So I thought, it's completely my fault. So I thought, well, I'll put it up, and because I always close it on a Tuesday, so I have time Tuesday night to prepare. 2 days isn't long enough. So what I thought was, we'll take a break this week, allow the vote to go over until next Tuesday, give lots of people the opportunity to vote. Lots of people still ask me, how do you vote? So here on YouTube, on my channel, you go to community, and then you'll see the option to vote for the tarot that you want to see the walkthrough of during Throwback Thursday. So, so there won't be one this week. So I thought I would come on tonight because I was driving home tonight. I had a horrendous start to the day this morning. Long story. It's the day I drive the furthest to work to be with the team. And I got all the way there and realised I'd left my laptop at home. So I had to drive all the way back, which took an hour and a half. And then all the way back again, which took another hour and a half. I was probably on the road for about 3.5 hours. Please forgive me. I've still got this cough. And I don't think incense smoke is helping really. But, so yeah, and I was like, oh dear. It was just, when I got out the car, I was walking like Max Wall. Sorry, Elle, you won't know Max Wall. You've got to be a certain age to remember Max Wall. But that was me getting out of the car. And I'd got a 9:30 meeting that I was late for. Anyway, the day got better and better and better. And I absolutely had a fantastic day by the time it ended. But I was driving home tonight and I put the radio on in the car. And they was talking about the fact that today is officially a Blue Monday. Not Black Friday, but Blue Monday has been around since the early 2000s. So it's relatively new. I think it's about 18 years it's been around for. But it's based on a calculation. And it's a calculation of, you know, the time of the year, the weather, the amount of people who suffer from SAD, which is the seasonal affective disorder, excuse me. And yeah, it's been worked out that out of all the days in the calendar year, today, which is the third Monday, I believe, third Monday of the month, is the one that is supposed to be the most depressive day. And I was thinking about it and I thought, I can understand that. I can understand that. And I mentioned in chat the other day, it was either this week or the week before, that, you know, this time of year can be really difficult because, you know, with the advent of autumn and the darker nights and things like that, and the sun and things does affect our moods, just like the moon does. We get vitamin D deficiency, and that affects our mood as well as other areas of health. You know, you have things to look forward to. So you have Samhain and Halloween, and over in the UK we have bonfire night at the beginning of November, and then all the lights start to go up, and you know, you have things like Diwali, the festival of lights, and then we have Yule and Christmas, and then it's New Year's Eve and everybody making new commitments and resolutions and all that sort of stuff, and parties, and then bam, nothing. Nothing. And they also said, as part of this calculation, today is the day where the bills come in, and lots of people overspend on Christmas, charging, you know, their credit cards for gifts and things like that. So because we're still in the midst of winter, we've still got the rest of this month and all of February. In the UK, we tend to get the most snowfall around the end of January through February, and even as early March. So yeah, it's a depressing time by all accounts, calculated so as well. So what they was talking about in this radio broadcast was that lots of forward-thinking companies, which is what they referred to, are allowing employees to take a hermit permit. So of course my ears popped up. Someone say hermit. Whereby forward-thinking employees allow staff on this day, I don't know how, I think they can only allow so many, or its productivity is going to completely just grind to a halt. But they're allowing people on this day and around this day to ring up and say, I'm not coming in today, I would like to take a hermit permit. It doesn't affect holiday pay or sick pay or anything like that. And they were saying about how actually it is very productive because you allow people to take a hermit permit. And therefore, you know, they have duvet days is also what it's called, isn't it? A duvet day where they just read a book, they go for a walk, they watch old black and white movies, they eat nice food, whatever it is, but they withdraw and, you know, just don't have to think about the pressures of life for one day. And I thought that was quite, interesting, because then my mind started thinking about hermit permits and how often do we take hermit permits. And, you know, I'm sure Kelly's, I've seen her in the room, she won't mind me saying, you know, we often have conversations, hi Lisa, we often have conversations where we will say to each other, oh, you know what, Jim Jam's on, make a nice mug of tea or mug of coffee, put feet up, watch a box set on Netflix or read a book and just disconnect and just enjoy your own time, that quality time that we don't often afford ourselves. We call that mental health days. Simon, what are civilized and productive things to offer their employees? Yeah, I think so. It's not always going to be possible because carers, for instance, can't just if they've got a duty of care to people, or NHS staff, it's not always possible, and that's what they was talking about. But they were saying that they could still encourage it because it doesn't have to be on this day. But the whole Blue Monday and that sort of slump that we feel at this time of the year can actually have an adverse effect on productivity in the workplace. Also, part of the calculation, and you can Google it and find out about this calculation, it's the time where there's most divorces filed because they've got through a Christmas period and there's been arguments, or people just look at their loved ones and just think, I don't want to do this anymore. And a friend of mine is a divorce lawyer, and by far January is the busiest time of his whole year because most people file for divorces in January. So there's all these factors as to the calculation as to why today is labelled Blue Monday. So, also, just to say, if you do want to join in, and please either pop it in capitals. I will keep looking down, or start with the Hermit's Cave, a little bit like Artistry of Tarot just did, because then it highlights it for me and I'll be able to see it. Bloody banging tune though. Bloody banging tune though. Did I quote a song? Our NHS Trust has given us our birthdays off the last couple of years. That's lovely. That's really nice. And yes, you can, if you don't use your hermit permit, some employers, so it's not unfair to everybody, you can take them at different times. So you might think, well, I'm going to save my hermit permit for a day where just, those days where the alarm goes off and you just think, oh, I just can't even today. No, I need more sleep, or, there's so many things I need to do. So they have that choice as well. Blue Monday. Oh, and I've got that intro. I've got that intro playing. Well, that's fascinating. I never heard of Blue Monday. The reason, Jen, why you've probably never heard of Blue Monday is because it's only applicable in the Northern Hemisphere. That was something else I was going to mention. And again, that's because one of the major parts of the calculation is the weather. The dark mornings, the dark nights. And of course, in the Southern Hemisphere, it is summertime. So, if we was doing it kind of like for like, even though it's not, it's still January. But for me, I look at where you are as being July now, in terms of my weather. February would be August. And obviously December, 6 months apart from June. So in my mind, I think, yeah, it's kind of like July for Jen and other people that's in the Southern Hemisphere. So the Blue Monday thing is applicable to people in the Northern Hemisphere. But I still thought, well, the great thing about having this chat is you can bring some sunshine and some joy into the rest of us that might be feeling a little bit flat at the moment. So maybe your Blue Monday would be in July, around this time, the third Monday of July. I haven't looked to see if that's the case, but perhaps that's what it is. There was something else I was going to say about the date. Yes, it also more times than not falls on Martin Luther King Day as well, and they talked a little bit about that on the for people in the States. They talked about that on the show as well, and that sometimes Blue Monday gets overshadowed by Martin Luther King Day. But again, that's quite a poignant day for a lot of people. I thought I saw a question. No, perhaps it wasn't then. So yeah, so I got to thinking, and I got home, and dinner was easy tonight because I put it in the slow cooker this morning before I set off. It'd been in there for like 12 hours. So I got home, and there was a lovely aroma of a stew in the slow cooker, and I thought, oh, that's lovely. And I sat down and I thought, do you know what? I wonder how many people in our community are feeling a little bit flat today, are feeling a little bit low. And even though I've had a pretty good day, it didn't start off brilliantly, I just thought, well, it might be nice. Nobody tends to do a live on a Monday, just as a one-off, and being as I can't do the live on Thursday, just to come on and have a chat with you all. But also, because we're talking about hermit permits, I thought we'd talk a little bit about the hermit in the tarot. And in as much as how we can perhaps avoid Blue Monday blues by using our hermit permits to really embody the archetype of the hermit in the tarot. Winter in June, July here in Argentina, and yes, some days, especially Sundays, might feel blue. Yes, Sundays have that that feeling. I don't get it so much now, but right back, I think it stems back to school, doesn't it? In that Sunday night, you get so excited. Friday and Saturdays, you know, you come home from school, it's the end of the long week, you get to have lots of fun at the weekend. But then Sunday evening, I used to get this really horrible feeling here. And it was like a sense of foreboding where you can't quite put your finger on it, but you just didn't feel, and you was like, oh, it's Sunday night. And I think many people can identify with that and can relate to that. But Mondays isn't a fab day for people anyway, especially if you travel a long way for work, the roads are busier, you know, you have to drag yourself up and you just think, oh, this is the first of 5 if you're fortunate enough to work Monday to Friday. And I say fortunate because as somebody that used to work shifts for 20 years, when I did get a job that was Monday to Friday, I just thought I'd won the lottery. So I get what you're saying about the Sunday feeling as well. But it does kind of carry on into Monday morning, doesn't it? So anyway, our hermit. And what I've done is I've taken, what I tried to do is get 10 of my favourite hermit cards to share with you, because on Saturday I did a Q&A session at the end of the going deeper into the 10 unusual things about me tag, and it was a long one on Saturday, wasn't it? We was on for 2 hours, and I kind of rushed it, but because I hadn't because I was on the phone filming like I am now, I couldn't get to my communities tab because my iPad doesn't support communities for some reason. It says this device does not. So I only had a look at a couple of hours before I went live. And when I went to close it down, there was a question in there that said, I would like to know what your favourite hermit card is. And I thought, oh, that would have been a good one. And I thought, well, what is my favourite hermit card? One came to mind, and then I was like, but I also like that hermit card. And that's so different to that hermit card, which I also like. So, hi, Peggy. I actually like Mondays now, but that's because I work from home, yeah, and don't have to deal with other people. Exactly. And I think it's that, I mean, as I said in my going deeper on the 10 unusual things about me, I am currently so fortunate in the best job I've ever had. So I don't get it other than, oh, I've got to drive all that way. But once I'm at work, yeah, but we all have that sort of, the weekend's over. especially if we've had a fab weekend, and like I did this weekend with friends and meeting up with people and coffees and lunches out and all that sort of stuff. It was fab. So yeah, so I tried to get my top 5 favourite hermits, and I got them, and then I thought of another one, and I thought, oh, that's 6. Well, actually, I really like this, and then I tried to get it to 10, and then I thought of another one, and I thought I could just keep going. So I have got 11, but 2 are very similar. Very similar, so I'm classing them as 1, if that makes sense, because it's just my rules. And I'd love to know what your favourite hermit card is as well. But linking it to Blue Monday, and the fact that we can, well, not all of us can, but if we do have an opportunity, like they're trying to push forward as well, trying to get more forward-thinking employers on board, we don't want to waste that opportunity. If we're taking a hermit permit, we don't want to race around and do all our shopping and do all the cleaning up unless we find that relaxing and therapeutic, because then we've wasted a hermit permit. A hermit permit, or the idea, is to recharge our batteries or to spend some quality time on our own, some quiet time. And I was thinking about the qualities of the hermit as I can't speak, as an archetype. Oh, that was hard to say. You know, and how we can perhaps use that time to do some soul searching. We can use that quiet time to do some reflection and whatever we need to take care of as an internal kind of processing, whether that is to soul search, to uncover some truths, and just really connect with ourselves. You know, we spend so much time trying to be all things to all people that the first person we usually neglect is ourselves. And that should be the other way round. And we've spoke before, haven't we, about, you know, if you're on a plane that's going down, heaven forbid, you have to put your own gas mask on first. Gas mask. Air mask on first, so that you can be help to other people. And that's a great analogy for life. We have to look after ourselves. We have to, you know, form that strong relationship with ourselves and get ourselves to a good place before we can be that support to other people. It's that I love hermit mode. Yes, exactly. So if I go into hermit mode, which is quite often, that's why my channel is called The Hermit's Cave, because I really identify with this archetype. I try to remember that I'm a human being and not a human doing. So therefore, I like to spend time in quiet contemplation, in meditation. I don't like to fill a lot of my time rushing around doing errands. Sometimes I'll get them out of the way so I can have some quality time with myself. I'm fortunate, I know, because I live alone. Lots of people watching this, you know, you're probably thinking, quiet time? How's that? Maybe it's just a drive in the car, you know, dropping the kids off at school and going home a different route, getting a more scenic route, just spending some quality time with your thoughts, and that addressing that whole healthy mind, healthy body, and the interconnection between the two. Absolutely a fact, the Hermit's Cave, always helping others to the detriment of ourselves. Most of us do. Simon, is that card larger than usual, or does it just look that way? No, it's one of the large RWS training, teaching type ones, compared to a standard RWS. It's from the Tarot with AE Weight, the premium edition. Simon is so blue this Monday, he's suggesting gas masks. Oxygen masks. Air masks, aren't they? But yeah, so we can combat the Blue Monday feeling or that Sunday night feeling by allowing ourselves, and it doesn't have to be, you know, ringing up the employer and saying I need some time off, but structuring our day in such a way that we embrace this archetype, that we go within, that we do that soul searching, that we ask questions about ourselves and listen and pay attention to the truths that are revealed, whether that's through reflection or meditation or sitting with cards. But it's really important that we make that time count. So let's look at, firstly as well, before I go on to the 10 cards, let's look at some of the important things about this card. So the lantern. The lantern in the Hermit's card doesn't seem to be casting a lot of light, and that is significant because if you're shining a light, it will only illuminate a few feet in front of you. If you're out at night and you've got a lantern like that, you can see where you're treading, but you can't see the remainder of your journey. And that's an analogy for life. And it's to remind us that we only have the present moment. And how many of us on Sunday evenings or waking up Monday morning have that sense of dread for whatever reason it is? And it's usually because we are having this kind of perception of what's going to happen because it's a Monday or whatever we've got on at work, a certain meeting we've got to go to. You know, I said to you earlier, I had the best day today. I didn't think it was going to go that way. I'd got something I'd been dreading, and it actually couldn't have been further from what I thought it was going to be. And it was wonderful. And I came home tonight on cloud 9. But the lantern represents that it will illuminate a small area in front of you, but the rest of the journey will still be in darkness because that's the future. And we can't see that yet. And it reminds us to pay attention on the here and now. Simon, let's have a look. I heard yesterday at a webinar that originally the lantern was a sand timer. Oh, I hadn't heard that. I hadn't heard that at all. The star is a very important part of it, so I wouldn't quite know why it would be a sun timer. But anyway, the star represents the Star of David or the Solomon, what was it? The Soul of Solomon. Star of David or the Soul of Solomon, which is a symbol for wisdom. And a wise person will always take counsel of themselves first. Okay, so that time to press the pause button, sit back, reflect, and take counsel from your soul, from that still small voice, and that's a strength. That's wisdom, that's strength, that's represented in the star. The grey is about neutrality. We know that from studies that we've done recently about grey is about neutrality. The night sky in this colour, it's like a teal. Sorry, in this card, the colour's like a teal card. But again, that represents a void, the unknown that's surrounding the hermit. Everything in this card is to give you a sense of solitude, a sense of, just being present in the moment. Oh wow, that would have quite an impact on my definition of the hermit if the lamp was a sun timer. Yeah, me too. I would really have to think about that and how that would fit with my understanding of the hermit as well. Staff that is holding, and we often see that as a snake in some cards, represents the power and authority that we all have within our own free agency. That power and that authority that we can manifest when we do that internal work. And, you know, as well as together, the lamp and the staff guides and balances us. And another thing that's just popped into my mind, the Star of David and the Soul of Solomon is also two triangles interlocking, which represents the connection between heaven and earth, or often talked about as well, a supreme soul and the soul. Okay, so those two interlocking triangles representing a coming together, a joining force of heaven and earth, but also a guide and a balance, which is what we need when venturing into the unknown. So, okay, so that's a bit of an intro. So my favourite cards, my favourite hermits. Now, I just had a look before I came on. I have 402 tarot sets, which means, well, I was going to say, which means I have 402 different hermits, but it doesn't, because I have so many duplications of RWS decks. I've probably got about 40 cards that are very similar to this, perhaps just different colours or redrawings of it. And of course, I've got a lot of Marseille decks, although the hermit does change. And if you haven't checked out Lisa at Mindful Tarot, she's back after 6 months. She posted a video during the night for me, and I watched it this morning whilst I was doing my 3.5 hours on the road. Talking about the Marseille, she talked about the type 1 and the type 2, and it was fascinating. Love her mind. So check that out if you have time as well. The hermit is portrayed as a recluse monk in the older decks. Yes, there is a very distinct difference between the RWS tradition and the Marseille tradition when it comes to the hermit too. It would make sense for him to be Father Time, representing the one thing we can't get back physically, so we have to go within. Tarotverse, you're right, and Father Time does appear in a lot of, I say a few decks for the hermit as well, and there'll often be a clock face somewhere or a timer of some sort to illustrate that. Hi, Holly. Sandra says maybe we can put our favourite hermit cards in the Hermit's Cave Facebook group. Yeah, good idea. Excuse me. Don't mean to cough at you. Here's an article about the hourglass versus the lantern. Thank you, Kelly. Oh, some great resources coming through. This is wonderful. I'll have to watch this chat back and really dig deep into this. So, yes, this is my ramblings as well. So take everything that I'm saying, you know, as just being my views on everything. But what I've kind of amassed over the last few years about the hermit, because it's, you know, I have studied the hermit card naturally because it's, as I say, who I identify with. But I just thought, for no other reason than just to have sheer enjoyment of looking at tarot cards, I thought I would just show you my favourites. The first one I want to show you is this card, which is from Akuli Occultati, and I really love this card. It was the card that made me hit the buy button. The majors in this deck all have this sketchwork. The cards are really large. They don't have any titles or any numbers or keywords or anything. They're almost like art cards, and you only get colour in the minors and associated colours. But the expression on his face is just wonderful. And you've got like a storm cloud effect in the background. I love the fact that his lantern that he's holding, it is casting light, but it really gives you that sense of it's not having much of an impact, to be honest. It's illuminating him, but it's also just kind of, again, around his immediate space. But I just think it's so beautiful. I have that deck, it's lovely. Here's the link to the Hermit's Cave Facebook group. Show us your favourite hermits. Thank you, Elle. Oh, I've got some brilliant mods. I really have. Wow, that is gorgeous. Akuli Akultati. I'm probably not saying it right. So I'll show you the box. Because one thing I do get criticised about is, can you say the name of that deck again? I can't understand your accent. So it is up here. Let me put your armor bottoms on because I'm hermiting. So this is the box. And it doesn't show you very well either. But there. Okay, Akuli Occultati Tarot. That's what's on the sides. Now, there was only, I think, this was very limited in number, and it was quite expensive. There is 900. I had 124 of 900, and you could only buy it from the seller, who was in London. And it's a weighty deck. It's a really weighty deck, but it is beautiful. So that is one of my top 10 hermits. I'm hermiting. I am hermiting. Another favourite of mine is the Druidcraft Hermit. I love this. I mean, the sun is still up in the sky, but you've got that sense of either the dawning of a day. Oh, it's the moon up in the sky. Through there, it looked like the sun. It looked circular, but when I looked at here, you can see the crescent moon. But there's still light. It's like either the dawning of a day or the setting of the sun, twilight. But it's really beautiful. And I love the wolf at the side of him. It's just really... I love to see hermits on the edge of mountains and the edge of cliffs, because that's one of my favourite things to do. When I need to just get away, there is a place I go to in Derbyshire, which is probably about 45 minutes drive from here, called Monsall Head. And it's heaven on earth. But there's a little bench, or you can sit on the edge, but there's a little bench and it overlooks this beautiful valley. And it's absolutely stunning. It's breathtaking. I just love to sit there and just think and just meditate and reflect. It's wonderful. Which brings me on to, which I think is probably my favourite card. Now, when I said that there are two cards that are very similar, so I'm counting them as one, from Sasarabito, I adore this. And the other one that's very similar is from the Lightseers Tarot. Although you have this kind of hazy mist around here. But they're just gorgeous. And it reminds me of my favourite soul card from Soul Cards 2 as well, which I have framed on my wall. But that's me as the hermit. That's how I really ground myself, or get to be alone with my thoughts with very few distractions, away. I live in a city, you know, and it's hard for me, even here, to get away from sirens sometimes, or there's a hum. My friends came on Saturday, and they said, it's funny, isn't it? You know, we've just been down in town and it's heaving with people. We're all the way up here, and all you hear is a hum. And it was one of the first things I noticed, because I used to live, before I moved here, quite remote on the edge of the Derbyshire Dales, where it was silent. So silent, it was noisy. Does that make sense? Where it's that silent, you get like a noise in your ears. That's when you rarely hear silence, when you hear the noise in your ears. But one of the first things I noticed when I moved here was, I've just seen my name highlighted. What about Hermie? Yeah, I do love Hermie. It's not in my top 10, but I do love Hermie. Kelly's talking about the Magical Forest. I'll show it, an honorary card for our Kelly Bear. But what I was going to say, just to finish that point, when I moved here, one of the first things I noticed was the hum. And there is like a hum of the city. I guess it's all the electricity and power that goes into a city. But there's like this vibrational hum. And when my friends mentioned that on Saturday, I thought, oh, you hear it too. So when I get to go to places like this, away from cities, away from cars driving around, and just sit and see the beauty and the majesty of the environment and the world in which we live, it just really grounds me. It really connects me with nature, with the earth. And that's where I really feel that I can do some quiet reflection and soul searching without distractions. Probably take me an age to find it now, Kelly. Oh my God, we can no longer be friends. I did say I loved Hermie. This is the deck that I had and passed on. And then when I met Kelly for the first time, we went to a little coffee shop in London. She got it out, and she got out this kind of trimmed version. And I was like, oh, I had it, and I gave it away. She looked at me as if to say, yeah, I know I shouldn't have met you. But I said, look, I'm going to buy it again. And she said, tell you what, if you buy it again, I'll trim it for you. And it was the best thing ever, because it's like a completely different deck. I'm nearly at the end. I bet it's right at the bottom. Or I'm not paying attention. Yeah, that's how many cards are left. And there's Hermie. So me and Kelly, we refer to the Hermit in this deck as Hermie, because that's his name. Just look at the cuteness of that Hermit. Isn't that just adorable? And so, yeah, so I sent it to Kelly. She trimmed it, she edged it, and she made me, this was my first ever Kelly pouch, and sent it me back. And I just love it, love it. But there's our little Hermie, his little lantern. He's got his wellies on, trundling through the snow, dark sky behind. He's got his staff for balance, and he's got his guide as well, for his light for guidance. I need this deck. I know. So this is Kate. This is the Magical Forest. For some reason, I always thought it was called Creatures of the Magical Forest. And it's not, of course. It's just the Magical Forest. We all needs, it's precious. Tara, the Magical Forest. Yeah. And it's lovely. But when you do get it, it does have all the multiple languages. So I always used to think, well, I wish they'd release it again and do it big and borderless. But actually, I would probably get it, but nothing would ever beat this, because it's a treasured item of mine for the reasons that I've mentioned. I don't dare trim it. Well, I wasn't a trimmer then, and Kelly does everything by scissors, and I used to use a guillotine, and I didn't, so I was so grateful that Kelly did do it for me. Yeah, so, all right, let's have a look at our next one. This is from the Hesse Coast Tarot, which was a gift from Sandra for my birthday last year. And I like this because, again, very similar to the Hermit that you get in the Slow Holler, where it's a Buddha image and you've got it in this egg shape here. But when I saw this, I was like, yes, because the colours are beautiful and vibrant. It's got lots of my favourite colours, the pinks and the blues and purples, and this lovely luscious green. But, you know, it's a Buddha. And in Buddhism, and I think it's probably, again, why I'm drawn to the Hermit, going within, you know, we are taught that we all have Buddha nature. Our essence, our very being is that of the Buddha. We don't always reveal our Buddha nature, but it's there. And when we, depending what school of Buddhism you follow, when you meditate or when you chant, you tap in, you go within, like the Hermit does. You withdraw. So lots of people go on Buddhist retreats. You withdraw, you connect with your Buddha nature. Other traditions, spiritual groups, religions, whatever, we'll call that a soul. But this is the Buddha manifest as the Hermit. And I think it's perfect when people link the Buddha to the Hermit card, because other than perhaps the Hierophant, because the Buddha was also a teacher of spiritual philosophy, I think that if the Buddha was in the tarot, it would either be the Hermit or the Hierophant. The only difference, and I think wildly more towards the Hermit, is because within Buddhism there isn't any sort of dogma or blind following or anything like that. So I have a Hermit card with an Om on it. Wow. What deck's that from, Tarotverse? But again, is the divine sound. Again, depending on your beliefs. But when you chant Om, then again, it is altering your vibrational state. And there's different levels of consciousness, as we know. And meditation, even prayer, spell work, whatever you want to call it, ritual, chanting, introspection, reflection, whatever, is connecting on a deeper level. So I love this card, absolutely love it, and this is from the Hesse Coast Tarot. Let's go a little bit modern now. So another favourite of mine is from Poppy's deck, which is Everyday Enchantment, because a lot of hermits, when we think about hermit, it's quite dated, yet, you know, we all, even today, looking at tarot decks that are steeped in tradition, we can connect and identify with it. And we all hermit from time to time. And this is just an everyday illustration that, you know, the importance of quiet reflection, study, being grounded, being at home, sitting in a meditation poise. But what I really like about this card in particular is the environment looks quite chaotic around him. And I don't know if Poppy's actually mentioned this when she's talked about her cards, because she does give excellent kind of discourse on the thought processes behind all of the cards that she's designed. Is that, you know, it doesn't matter where you are, you can find the opportunity to go within. You don't have to live a minimalist life. You know, you can be surrounded by clutter. I would very often go into meditation on a bus. It used to help the bus journey go a lot smoother sometimes. If I got on the bus from work when I didn't drive, and it was a Friday, and I saw how busy it was, I would just sit on a bus, close my eyes, or just look down, and I would just take some deep breaths, and I would just go into meditation. And before you knew it, you was at your destination. Luckily, my stop was the last stop, which was a bus station, so it's not like I could miss my stop. But the surroundings help. They can help to get that sort of quietness and serenity, but it's not always necessary, you know. I mean, the family pets all around, how long are they going to leave you in peace? But, you know, it doesn't have to be meditation. It can be study, you know. That's what I said. If you take a hermit permit, put your duvet around you, open one of your favourite books, and, you know, there's all sorts of things that we can do. I've just noticed there's quite a few orange things. So Kelly Bear says, question from Darling Jill. Do you have any videos on Buddhism, Simon? Yes. Very early on, there's one that's called My Spiritual Path and What Led Me to the Tarot. Also check out Decks for Decades, which was a VR to a tag, which talked about different stages, different decades of my life and my spiritual kind of evolution, we'll call it. I think he looks cozy in that card. It's got everything he needs around him. It's got books, it's got light, which is his lamp. It's got, you know, those that love him, his dog and his little cat. It's got connection with spirit. It's just wonderful. And he's just sat really relaxed. He doesn't need his staff. His staff is there, balancing against him. But yeah, it's wonderful. I also love the little owl flying by as well. What I love about Poppy's artwork is the little details that you find over and over again. I know Simon will show a hermit upon a hilltop, knees to chest, just deep within, while seemingly looking out. Okay, Sasarabito hermit. I must have missed it while making a sandwich. So Sasarabito hermit is this one. And I love the fact that it's silhouetted. It could be anybody, any gender, any age, anybody. It's just beautiful. Any other? Simon, I love this hermit card of Poppy's because it shows that we can go within without retreating to a cave in the Himalayas. Exactly. My hermit's cave is in a multiplex of 450 other apartments, atop of a city, you know. But it's my cave, it's my sanctuary, it's my safe space. Everything in here is because I've chose for it to be in here. So I'm surrounded by things that I chose and that I love. So some people would come here and say, oh no, you know, feng shui or whatever. It's too busy, there's too much happening. I can't really feel that I you know, can be serene, or I can go within, and again, that's down to personal choice. But the contrast between the two of them They're both doing the same thing. So it's horses for courses, I bet. Bye, Peggy. Another one that's a favourite of mine. I'm going to sneeze now. No, I'm not, because I've said it. Is from the Gill Tarot. And I just think this is beautiful. I did have it as the choice of card on my custom-made box that the lovely Christine did from Bunny Kisses. There is an embossed on there that says Gill Tarot, which is lovely. But yeah, I said, oh, would you put me the Hermit on front? Because it was one of my favourite cards in the deck. The energy in this card is wonderful. But what I love about this is the different perspective. So you're looking from behind here. Again, you know, this person is genderless, covered from head to toe, but they're looking into such an expanse. You can almost imagine what they're looking. I mean, you get the sense here that there's perhaps trees, and you've got this mountaintop, snow-capped mountaintop that they're on the top of, but just looking into this abyss. It's wonderful. And look at how the light is just, it's absolutely stunning. Simon, blow out the incense, you daft bugger. I think it's making you cough. I've been coughing for days, Kelly. It's just a dry, tickly cough. But yes, the incense probably isn't helping. But it's right at the end now. Can't blow it out. So yeah, the Gill Tarot Hermit. Oh, I've been on nearly an hour already. What next? There's 5 left. This one, I really like this one. This is quite modern too. So this is from, what's it called? I've got the deck here. New Era Elements. I wanted to say New Elemental, and I knew it wasn't right. New Era Elements. And I love this, obviously, because these are my top 10 Hermit cards. But I see him most days. Don't you? Do you not see him? And do you see him? And what I mean by that is, he must pass us every day in the street. And I can always remember, it kind of relates, but where I used to work, I worked on the motorway in a service station for 10 years, and every customer was a brand new customer. They'd pass that way once. You know, they weren't your locals. It was on the main road between London and Leeds. So it was fast paced. It was serving people. You know, lots of people were angry because they'd been driving for hours. The prices were high, so it was always your fault. And we didn't really have a good relationship with the customers. And then I moved to the co-op and was a deputy store manager. And what really struck me was the time that staff were afforded to speak to the customers. And there was this chap, or there was Mrs. Smith, let's call her, who would just come in every day and buy a pint of milk and a loaf of bread and stand chatting for 20 minutes. And we never told staff off for that, because very often this person out and about within the community, I mean, beautiful urban kind of, you know, there's graffiti and artwork. It's got that very famous Japanese art depiction of that wave. But I look at this image and think, is he hermiting by choice? Or is he one of the forgotten ones? There's a line in an Erasure song that says, as I get older, the world forgets me and looks at me like I'm some kind of child. And I think there's many forgotten people in our community, and the hermit is forced on them. But I hope that they're making the best of that as well. but he's just getting by. He's just going out and being outdoors and being part of the community and trying to engage. And I just hope that he's seen. Sorry, Nikki. But you know, there are so many forgotten people, so many people that are overlooked, whether it's the homeless, you know, whether it's the elderly, the disabled, whatever, you know, people overlook people. And it's just such a beautiful card. And I think it's stunning. But it reminds me to, you know, if you're visible, you're valued. That's what we have to remember. If you're visible, you're valued. If you're invisible, then people lose that self-worth, which is the opposite to what the hermit is trying to do. Dead Zone. All about Dead Zone. Do you think the hermit is a mature version of the fool? To a degree, but remember the fool's journey goes through all until it gets to the world. So a maturing person, perhaps, of the fool. Eleanor Rigby comes to mind. Yes, Kate. I look at all the lonely people. Beautiful song. I've been to Eleanor Rigby's grave as well in Liverpool. Because she was a real person. The hermit is the fool's great granddaddy. I like that. Okay. Another favourite of mine, which is an absolutely beautiful card. Just get comfy. It's from the Ancestral Path Tarot. And this is, again, a beauty. Just look at the light. It's like loads of little fireflies coming from his hand. It's not a traditional lantern. It does look like old Father Time. It's not hooded or anything. He is on top of a mountain, a cliff. He's looking out. You've got water and the sea below. And I love the star. Rather than the star inside the lantern, that's the guiding star. So again, you remember the star in the lamp is for guidance and the staff is for balance. It's just beautiful. And it's almost like he has found what he was searching for and he is imparting that out indiscriminately. Just allowing it to go out. It reminds me of Gandalf. I can't relate because I've not seen that film. I love that one. Yeah, it's beautiful. Really, really beautiful card. I hermit when the temperature is -30. So yes. Again, Blue Monday. A lot of it's to do with the weather. You shall not pass. So, stunning card. Down to my final three. From the Lily White. I do like the Lily Black version as well, but the Lily White version of this just edges it because of the beautiful colours. And I love this. I'm saying that about every card. I love this. But what a retreat. We talk about caves. We talk about homes that are cluttered or minimalist, or you know, some people go to monasteries or churches or temples or whatever to go within and connect. But one of the best places you go to is the Church of Nature. You know, and how better to be amongst plant life and trees. But I love, if you look within, it's like there's a universe in there as well. Kind of reminds me of, you know, is our universe, what was it? Was it Men in Black? where it zooms out from them and it goes through all the different kind of galaxies and solar systems. And then it's inside something really nondescript, and it's like, yeah, I wonder if our universe is inside a dewdrop on a leaf somewhere. But it gives you that illusion of that expanse that is within as well, that huge reservoir that's within us that we can tap into. Yes, a marble. Thanks, Claire. And I just think it's beautiful. And she's just sitting there enjoying the peace, the quiet, the serenity. She's got her lantern that she's kind of just holding at the side of her. Really gorgeous. Doctor Strange. Okay, wow, there's 100 people here for Monday night. It's lovely to see everybody. Thank you for coming. Last two. Yeah, okay. I mean, it's the hardest choice because I love them both. I love them all, but I suppose, I don't know if I've gone really 10 down to 1, but Anna Kay, I think, is a beautiful hermit. I think the tone of this has been captured so beautifully. I love that night sky. I love it. And as you saw the other day on the live on Saturday, I'm very fortunate to see sunsets every day. But my favourite sky is the twilight as day disappears and the night comes, and then the morning. And I said to a few people this morning, because when I drove to work in pitch black, 6:20 this morning, realised I hadn't got my laptop and had to drive all the way back again, I knew that that was 3 hours ahead of me, an hour and a half each way at that time of day. But one of the most amazing things, even though the frustration of having to make the journey again and then again to go back, was that I was able to witness, because when you're on a motorway, there's not a lot to see other than the road in front of you and the expanse of the sky. I was able to see the night turn to day. And on the return journey, it was blue skies and the sun was beaming. And I glided a few people and just kind of shared it, because I set off and it was just pitch black. And there's a section of the motorway where they don't have any lights, and it was literally pitch black. And then this happened. The Church of Nature, yes. I think you might be a bit behind, Holly. But yeah, I really love this. And he's just sat. His lantern is just a candle that's melting, just dripping away, shining a little bit of light, just enough for him to see what's in front of him. Again, remember that the hermit's lantern doesn't stretch far, because that's the unknown. That's part of the journey that we don't know yet, is to focus us on the present moment. So the present is, he doesn't want to go off the edge of this cliff, but it just illuminates enough as the sun disappears, as it goes down. And he's just sitting there, just so peaceful and serene, just looking out. It's beautiful. Ah, yes. I love the Anna Kay deck too. Hi, Kat. Good to see you. Wanders in late. That's okay. So my last card to show you, when the incense has gone out, Kelly. So I'm all right. Oh my goodness, I dribbled. What a state. Remember the Sadhu in the film Black Narcissus? I haven't seen it. Claire. I should watch it. So this is from the Wheel of Fortune Tarot. And I'm a bit reluctant to say it's my favourite hermit, because there's so many to choose from. And we don't have to have favourites, they're all favourites. But this is just so beautiful. These are all oil paintings in this deck. And I just don't know if I just said the right title there. It's the, begins with an S. Oh, what is it called? It's gone right at Slow Tarot. Slow Tarot. As soon as I said it, because I got them both on the same week, and I thought, no, it's not. It's not. It's the Slow Tarot. Yeah, which are these beautiful oil paintings. And just look, everybody's telling me now it's the Slow Tarot. I know. But it reminds me of one of my favourite cards in the Japaridze Tarot, which is the Four of Coins, or what do they call? They don't call it coins in the Japaridze Tarot. Anyway, I can't remember, but it reminds me of that card. But just look at all the roots at the base of this tree, and he's in this beautiful sitting position, and he's just so grounded, and he's actually cradling that light. You've got the bird flying, you've got this beautiful kind of amber sky. Oh, and it's just wonderful. It kind of gives you a sense of autumn as well. You know, you've got your leaves, a lot of the branches are bare, and you've got the leaves that are falling and scattering, and you've got these kind of amber skies, as I mentioned. But it's just so beautiful. I love the way he's holding the lantern as well. Just kind of holding it, and he's just looking ahead. It kind of looks a little bit sort of like he's really desperate, isn't the word, but he's very focused, and is really trying to connect, and he's holding this light as if to say, you know, I need to go within, I need to connect, I need to do that soul searching, and he's took himself to this beautiful place. It's a trap, you'll want it. It's a beautiful deck, absolutely beautiful deck, and it's on this kind of linen cardstock as well. So really, really lovely. Okay, so that's it. My favorite hermit cards. For a lot of us over here, Blue Monday is coming to an end anyway, so I hope you survived it relatively unscathed. If you are feeling a little bit glum, a little bit down in the dumps, then treat yourself. Go have a bath, you know, read a book, play some soothing music, just enjoy your quiet time if you can find it. If you're somewhere else in the world, and some places it's not Monday anymore, but if you're in the States or somewhere, then I hope that you get through Blue Monday. And just remember, if you do decide to take a hermit permit, to use that time wisely and to really connect with the archetype of the hermit. And the best relationship you can ever form is a relationship with yourself. It's so important. And don't feel bad about putting your own needs first and doing things for yourself. Because as we said right at the beginning, you know, when you do that, it's only then that you can really be of support and benefit to other people. So thank you for being here. Thank you for making my Blue Monday even more enjoyable by having this this chat, and to just to explore the Hermit card a little bit more, which I always love to do anyway. And just remember then, no Throwback Thursday this Thursday. That's why I've done the live tonight, but there'll be a lot more opportunity now to cast your votes for next week. All right, guys, enjoy the remainder of your day, and remember, go in peace. Namaste. and blessed be.